And I will switch to English for the first two introductions of our English-speaking presenters. So, first up is Benjamin Biering, Global Head of AI from Podimo. And Benjamin will tell you how Podimo uses innovative AI for podcast discovery. Please welcome Benjamin Biering.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk about podcast and more particularly about podcast discovery because it's very difficult to find new podcasts to listen to. I don't know, maybe you know the struggle. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people primarily use word of mouth to discover new podcasts. And so I will tell you a little bit about what we can do from a software perspective to help that process. But first, I would like to talk about Podimo as a company. So Podimo is a podcast and audiobook company founded about three years ago. And it has been the fastest growing company in that space in Europe. So it's pretty impressive. And just a couple of key figures. We are 250 employees worldwide, spread across 9 offices. The service is live in Denmark, Germany, Spain, the Netherlands, Finland, Norway, and also in Latin America. And we are planning to launch in 3 more markets next year. And we have managed to increase our paying member base by 5 year over year, which is very substantial. And I think that underlies how dynamic the podcast market is. And we have primarily a mobile app, but we have expanded to CarPlay and to a web player. And one thing to notice about Podimo is that we are creating a strong ecosystem for the creators by sharing the revenue with both exclusive but also with open RSS creators. All right, but today I would like to talk about personalization. For me, personalization is a lot about finding the right piece of content for the right user at the right time. So it's about making information contextual and relevant for the users. So it's a lot about curation. But good curation is requires a lot of good data. And this is where there is a little bit of a challenge because there isn't much metadata for podcasts. It's really hard to come by. And I just wanted to give you an example of one of our very popular shows. I think you probably know it, Masse Ehal. And this is basically like a screenshot of our system. That's the data we have, right? So it's title, a little description, some manual tags, language, and categories. And that's basically all we have. So it's not a lot to use that for personalization purposes. But we can get much more information if we get the actual transcript, if we get the content, and then analyze it. So to do that, we can use speech-to-text. And I just wanted to pause and talk a bit about the technologies because it's a field that has seen tremendous improvements over the past couple of years. Those systems have become very, very good for big languages like English, German, French. So we have big players like Google. They offer transcriptions in many languages, but the quality heavily depends on the language. So it's going to be very good for English and maybe not that good for Danish, right? So at Podimo, we have partnered with Alvenir, which is a local startup, and they solely focus on Danish. And as you can see on the graph, they achieve much better results than Google, almost 10% lower error rate. Then there are some open source players, like Whisper from OpenAI, from Elon Musk. This was released about 3 weeks ago, and they display state-of-the-art results in more than 100 languages. So it's very impressive. And finally, we have newcomers like Assembly AI. They do exactly like Google. They do transcription for a lot of languages. But on top of that, they also offer what they call audio intelligence, which is about retrieving a lot of information like topics, named entities, summarization, chapterization, all of these things that they try to commoditize. So, but the point is that you want to get transcripts which are very good, which are which have the lowest level of noise, the lowest level of error, so that in turn you can develop downstream applications and get sensible results. So once you get the transcript, you can start by doing topic modeling to know, what the transcript is, what are the topics discussed in the transcript. And I have highlighted some of the topic words we can extract. And if you manage to read, you can see that it's about Folketing, Regering, Demokratie. So you understand that this transcript is about Danish politics. One little caveat about topic modeling is that, of course, you can get different clusters of topic words, but it's usually quite difficult to find the actual topic label. There are some workarounds for that. You can either try to map those topic words to a predefined list of topics, right? So it becomes a classification task. Or you can try to map these topic words to Wikipedia entries. And I think that Apple Podcast actually does that under the hood. So in the case of topic modeling, the information that you extract is very tangible, right? It's topic words. But you can also leverage language models to get a much more abstract representation of the content. And here I just wanted to display a podcast episode floating and clustering in a semantic space, and they cluster by semantic similarity. And on that graph, what you can see is that the distance, the physical distance, acts as a proxy for semantic similarity. So now we know what the podcasts talk about. We know which podcasts are similar to each other. So how can we use that to improve the user experience, the podcast discovery, and the personalization? So starting with topics, we can compute a topic profile for each user and then create automatically playlists accordingly to their taste. Then we can also input the topic information into our search engine and allow for topical searches. And finally, we can use those topic labels as tags to provide contextual information about the podcast, but also to use that as for content filtering. Now, if we move to semantic similarity, we can, for each show, recommend similar shows. We can also anchor that into the listening experience of the user and say, hey, if you have listened to that podcast, you may be interested in these similar podcasts. And we can also try to use that to create synergies between the different types of format. And for example, linking podcast episodes to audiobooks which are related from a content perspective. So now I would like to talk a bit more about the numbers and how all these initiatives actually move the needle on our service. And if we look at the search engine, we can see that we have increased the search results relevance by 173%, which is very substantial. We are very happy about that. And when we talk discovery, this is a screenshot of our discovery screen, which is basically some different galleries of podcasts. And we have measured that the galleries which are based on semantic similarities are actually the ones performing the best. All right, so what is next for us in terms of personalization? Well, I said that personalization is a lot about curation, and curation also has something to do with information hierarchy. And we have seen that different user segments have different preferences in terms of which galleries they like to interact with and engage with. So we can use reinforcement learning to rank these galleries in different ways and make the ranking optimal to maximize the likelihood of engagement. We can also go one step further and re-rank the items within the galleries. We can also personalize the covers, exactly like, for example, Netflix is doing. Thank you.